Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Generation Y. Before the break, we were talking about education, going to university, the education system. Um, Now for the second half, education, it can be, a lot of stress for today's youth, especially when it comes to GCSEs, A levels. Um, Obviously, we've been through GCSEs, so what would you say? Is a GCSE stressful or are A levels more stressful than GCSEs? How would you compare them?
I think that definitely A levels are a lot more stressful because, although at A levels you take in 3, 4 subjects, it's a lot more content, and because of that, also the content's a lot harder. GCSEs seem a lot easier because, there's a lot less content to it, and for your exams you don't need to know as much, and because of that, I think that A levels are a lot more harder, and it puts a lot more stress on you.
Yeah, A levels are going to be a lot more harder because you're older, they've made it harder. GCSEs do have some A level content in it, but you got to remember that A levels, they say it's harder than degree levels, so you got to imagine what it's like. The fact that adults are doing degrees, and the fact that us 16, 17, even 18-year-olds are doing A levels, it's going to be very hard and stressful for us.
Yeah, definitely. Bilal, what do you think about A levels and GCSEs? Obviously, you're partway through your A levels, you've done your GCSEs.
Yeah, I agree with both what Dawood and Osama said. I agree that A levels are a lot harder, a lot more stressful after GCSEs, because GCSEs is like the foundation knowledge, and after you do GCSEs, like if you do really well in your GCSEs and you love that kind of stuff, then A levels are definitely right for you. You should be fine. If you put your head down 5 hours a week in A levels, you should be fine. But if you just scrape through your your GCSEs, and you just scraped and you think you did okay, then I don't think you should reconsider A levels, because they're a lot harder, and we really don't know what you put yourself into until you're actually there, and then you realise, oh, I've got all this work to do, and I'm getting E grades, I'm putting effort in, and what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously A levels, they're a lot stressful than GCSEs, as you all mentioned. And stress is, it can lead to illnesses, especially today's youth. You see a lot of youth, they have to get one-to-one counselling because of stress, because of that, education getting to them. Obviously, there's things like peer pressure. So what do you think about peer pressure? Do you think that is harmful, or do you think it's beneficial to individuals?
I think that peer pressure is quite detrimental in a lot of cases because you always want to do what your friends are doing, or you always want to do what the people around you are doing, and because of that you will feel a lot of pressure. It's like saying you go to a party or whatever, and your friends are doing something but you don't want to do it, but because they're all doing it you feel like you should. And it's not that they're pressuring you into anything, it's just the fact that there's a lot of pressure being put on you, and it's one of them things that you should conform to. And and because A levels are so hard, you feel like sometimes you should conform to what everyone else is doing, and that's A levels. A levels is the to do thing now, and it is really hard to get your head around, but if you can, then it is a really good pathway for you to go down.
Like we said before the break, that your education is going to get you far, and you're not going to get good grades without a struggle. You're going to have struggle a bit. At the end of the day, if it ain't going to challenge you, how are you going to get into a good profession that's going to be challenging?
Yeah.
Like now you got jobs that are stressful. Now look at a stockbroker who's dealing with stress on a day-to-day basis. It's stressful, it's hard for them. But to get to that, you need some good grades. For example, like in maths, you need some good grades to do with money, numbers, etc. So you got to remember that it's going to be stressful, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have that bit of struggle. But after those 2 years, you've struggled a bit, you're going to be loving life after that.
Going back onto that point on peer pressure, I partially agree with what Dawood said, because he said that it can be bad for you because it can put you into a state of stress, and you thinking, oh, all my friends are doing well and I'm not doing well. But I think in some cases that can also push you a bit. Like if your friends are getting good grades, then you're also encouraged to put in the work and try and match your friends or even beat them.
Again, that all links to influences, like we were talking about before the break. Parents, they influence was in education, and saying that friends do as well. It depends what friends you hang around with. If you're doing somewhere like really solid sciences in A levels, you're hanging around with someone who's doing, say, BTEC's courses, you know, it's not always gonna help you out in it.
No, I
in
don't really
ways.
agree there, to be honest. Because you got to remember, it's someone's capability at the end of the day. If someone's, sometimes it might not even be that. You got someone that can do A levels but don't want to do A levels because they feel that it might stress them out, or there was some home related stress, and they don't want to add extra stress to that. So they've chosen to do a B Tech, for example, which is a bit easier. It's got more coursework in it, so it gives you that edge. But I don't really agree to that point there, Tola.
Yeah, I think if you've got a friend and obviously you're doing both like really different subjects, someone's doing hard, like really hard A levels and someone's doing easy A levels, I don't think if you're both hard working, I think you should have a positive effect on each other. Like choosing hard A levels doesn't necessarily mean that you're bright. It just means that you're wanting to go into a harder course, and choosing
definitely.
easy A levels. Just you might be doing something outside of school, like working. You might not have the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything to say, Dawood?
No, honestly, Bilal, he covered that really well, and genuinely, you know, like you said, if someone's doing, you know, what people say is easier A levels, you know, if someone is doing that, but you're doing, I guess, harder, say like sciences or whatever, because they are really hard, and you know, when you pick them, you don't really notice how, you know, you'd think that it's an extension of science at GCSE, but it's genuinely not. It's like, it feels like a completely different science because it goes into so much depth and so much, you know, knowledge and so much, you know, rigorous training and stuff like that. And obviously that does train you for, you know, later on. It does train you for, you know, degrees, and it does train you for, you know, whatever you want to go into, say medicine or whatever. It does train you for that. But if you are like, if you do have friends that have easy A levels, you know, they could be getting, say, A's and A stars, or, you know, B's or whatever in their subject. But say if you're doing sciences and you're getting E's and D's, you know, what you need to understand is that they're two completely different A levels, and they require different things from you. You know, they require a lot more, you know, patience, and a lot more. I guess A levels across the board, you know, you need a lot of patience, because then grades aren't going to come from nowhere. They're going to come from hard work and determination at the end of the day. And you know, if you're not putting in that work, you're not going to get them grades. But you know, sometimes you will be putting in that work. You will be putting in a lot of that work, but you know, sometimes when it comes down to doing that exam or whatever, it just becomes really hard for you, because you might not have prepared for a certain question, and it might put you off at the entire exam because you feel like, you know, you haven't prepared for that, and it can put you on a real downer. And I don't feel like you should do anything in life that wants to put you on a downer, because you shouldn't be living your life like that at all.
A downer, yeah.
It's like conditioning, isn't it? It's like, like you go to the gym, you train.
Yeah.
And so you might be doing you might do bench press. You got 60 kg on bench press, and it's conditioning you. You might struggle with it at first, but after a couple of weeks, for example, you carry on doing it. You know what, 60 kg. You know what, let's put on 65 kg. Struggle there.
Yeah, put a bit more on, yeah.
70 kg. You eventually get to that limit where you're benching. You got 4 plates on each side, and you're big and hench. And
Osama knows, yeah.
yeah.
Talking about, you know, after A levels, you go to uni, you've done uni. Obviously, especially in the UK, it's very hard to find a job. It's obviously been through all education. You know, you've got your degree at the end of it, and finding a job, you know, can be hard. What would you say? What would you do in that circumstance? You know, when
it's something that, like I said, you know, you haven't prepared for sometimes, and you know, saying the exam, you know, you haven't prepared for it, and it's one of the circumstances that you haven't, you know, prepared for. And you can go through A levels, you can go through university. You know, nothing at the end of the day is a, you know, secure job. At the end of the day, you know, in today's society, there's nothing such as a, you know, a secure job. You know, even if you're a businessman, or you know, a financial, you know, or if you're into a financial venture, you know, one day you might be raking in the money, but you know, the next it could go downhill. You know, people might lose interest in your business or whatever, and you know, again, that might put you on, you know, a downer. It might put you on a bad vibe or whatever, and you don't feel like, you know, you should be into that, and it puts you off sometimes. It really puts you off, and I don't think you should do anything that puts you off, because you know, no one deserves to go through, you know, that downward slope, or you know, no one deserves to go, you know, through that, because it's just.
Yeah, it makes sense that it's like, at the end of the day, like I said, it's a struggle. You're gonna have to soldier it out. As you say, you can't. it's not going to be something easy at the end of the day. You got to look at the different things. You got to look at. That's why I say to you, take into account what your situation is like, because you got like home stress, like I've just said, that it is going to affect you, and you don't want to be at that stage where you got go to counselling. You got to find other means to de-stress.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that. It should be something that you enjoy. Yeah, you've got to do some hard work on that, and that it's someone that's going to put effort in.
Yeah,
like,
anything today in today's society, you know, you have to put in work, but it just depends on, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And you know, if you don't put in, you know, you'll have to put work in anything. You know, whether it's a business, whether it's A levels, whether it's university, you're gonna have to put that work in. And you know, if you don't put that work in, then you know you might have to, you know, you're gonna wanna find something easier to do, because you just don't wanna go through such a hard thing.
Before the break as well, we talked about, you know, education being important.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's important because it takes you to, you know, different places, different career paths. And also, we did mention the point that education can take you to, you know, a lot far. It can take you, if you've got a degree, you can go work anywhere around the world. And especially in places in countries like Dubai, where, you know, I've seen a lot of people move nowadays because, you know, the job, you know, tax-free. The jobs there are good, and you know. So, what do you think about moving country? You know, after you got a degree, would you ever consider it?
Yeah, I would consider that, to go and see something new. But you got to look at it. Are you getting educated just so you can move to a tax-free country? Are you educating to be educated?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think like from a young age, you should be educated to actually not to get the grades and to get a degree and to move out and not pay tax and earn more money, but to actually like become the best version of yourself and just know a lot more in general.
Yeah, it ties in with what we were talking about at the beginning about, you know, being well educated, and you know, it's seen that if you go to university you're well educated, but I don't think that's the case. I think that even if you make it to GCSEs, you know, once you've done them, I feel like you're at that stage where you're well educated, and you know, you're well rounded enough.
You've got
to
the
know,
basics.
Yeah, you know the basics. You've got, you know, maybe not the experience, but you've got enough knowledge to know about, you know, how the world works and how it turns around. And you know, you're only going to gain that experience by, you know, going through life, and the only way to go through life is to, you know, go through things that you want to go through, and through them things you're going to learn certain, you know, lessons and certain you know, practices and stuff like that.
Somebody have anything, you know,
No,
what
I don't think
what
so.
would you personally think about moving country if you got a degree, or would you stay in the UK and find a job?
I think like now with the election situation, preferably I wouldn't want to be in the country, no. But I feel like, you know, because like a lot of the fact that you've lived here for a long time, you've built
Build
bridges,
bridges.
yeah. You've got your friends. You don't want to move away from that. But I think eventually, in the long run, I'd like to move to another country. I'd like to move to somewhere maybe in the Middle East, because it's somewhere that is now it's gonna prosper. It's got all the resources, all the money, everything needed, and I think that countries like that is countries that people need to move to. And like now, with a good career, like you might be a civil engineer, for example, or like now say you design roads, for example, you're a traffic engineer and you design roads. Like in certain countries are not like good, they're not up to standards, and now you've got traffic lights waiting. You're waiting at a certain traffic light for 3 minutes. It might not sound like a lot, but you know, when you're really sat in that traffic for 3 minutes and you just sat there looking at a red traffic light, like bloody turn green, will you?
Yeah.
It's like that. So you've got to get what you can. What I say is get all your qualifications, because if you get qualified from the UK, it looks better because it's a developed country. Countries like to see that. Oh yeah, you've been studying in the UK. Oh cool. It looks good on your CV, for example. And to go to another country where it hasn't got many qualified people, you go there and you give your
Like
skills.
you stand out. Yeah, you stand out.
You're like basically, yeah, you stand out. It's like now you've got all the same people, but you with this extra qualifications, extra resources, extra bit of skill, you'll be stood out of that crowd and you'll be able to help, and that's where you'll go up and you'll become a manager.
So moving away from education, why do you think that it's so hard to get a job in the UK?
It's because the UK, you know, in the UK there's so many jobs that are oversaturated, you know, with the qualifications and stuff like that. You know, there's so many people competing for the same job with the same qualifications, and that's why, you know, like Osama said, you know, you go to a different country and you will stand out because of your qualifications. You know, it's because not everyone in that country may have your qualification. You know, you'll be one of a kind, you know, in that country, and like you said, you know, you'll be treasured, or you know, whatever, you know, you'll be
Yeah,
important. Yeah, you'll be important, and that's all ever. You know, that's all anyone ever wants to be. You know, they want to stand out. They want to be somewhere important. So that's why, you know, a lot of people from, you know, England, UK, and that they get their qualifications and they leave the country to stand out in another country.
Yeah, I think like now, like I mentioned, like saturated, and it's basically saturated for the people that don't know. It's basically where there's a lot of people there. Like now, people might say pharmacy is very saturated. That a lot of people are doing pharmacy. Actually, a better example, accounting and finance, that is very saturated. That a lot of people are doing it, and I don't think that will ever loosen up. Unless like now the demands, the grades get higher. So when the government raised the grade boundaries, it's going to get harder for you to get that grade, to get that A grade, for example, unless people will be able to get onto certain degrees like pharmacy,
definitely,
for example.
it will.
And now if you look at the pharmacy requirements to do the degree, it's gone up. I think that's because due to saturation in the field itself. And I think that the only way to reduce that is by that. And I don't think there's any other way, and that's a very slow processing. That's why people are going to other countries to get jobs, to work, because A, they're getting good pay, B, they're standing out, they're going to be appreciated more, they're going to be loved more in that sense, and also because there's not many jobs in the area.
Yeah, so it's, you know, about making it unsaturated, I guess.
Yeah, I think that the problem is that we're always taught that money brings happiness, so everyone's looking at jobs that are high paying. So going into accounting, going into pharmacy, going into medicine and dentistry, they're really like saturated. They're really full because everyone thinks that that's going to get them the most money, and that's why I think we need to be taught more on like other options that can also lead to a successful life, rather than just dentistry and just pharmacy.
Yeah, no, there are different professions to go through. Like there isn't only pharmacy. There's, you know, other professions that you could go to. You know, even, you know, what's funny is that, you know, becoming a doctor or whatever like that, there's only so many jobs of them, but there's so much competition for it because it's well paying. It's, you know, one of them jobs that's quite secure because, you know, although a lot of people do want to go for it, they give up on it because, you know, they get disheartened because they didn't make it. So then they have to go into like a medicine related career, such as, you know, like radiography or something like that.
Yeah, like now radiography is like in a big demand, for example.
Yeah, it is.
So the grade boundaries are going to be lower, the pay is going to be higher, and you know what, if that's the case, why do you go for it? But then that's why, like, once it gets saturated, people have started to learn that, yeah. It's like now there's a shortage of physics teachers, so when you do your PGCE, and they pay you to do your PGCE, they're basically paying you to study. It's like, what more can you ask for? You're getting paid more than the average salary. I think currently £30,000 just to do a PGCE year, and it comes down to something like £2.5 grand, no tax a month.
Alright, so you just mentioned about physics teachers, the less physics teachers. Why do you think there is? Why do you think that
There's less teachers in physics because there's a shortage of them. They want to attract it by giving money. Like now, what attracts you to become a doctor? Other than, yeah, you want to enjoy, you want to help people, but come on, at the end of the day, you've seen that big paycheck, you think, oh yeah, I want that paycheck, man.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what is the motive? Money is the motive. Whatever anyone says, I'm sorry, you're going to need some decent amount of money to live your life, and without money, you're not going to have, I won't say you will have a happy life, but you'll have a struggle in life, and it'll cause you things like being sad and stuff like that. So all the ballers out there, they're going to be doing well, basically.
Yeah,
do you think that the worldly matter is affecting, like, you know, the recent attacks that have just happened in the last 3 months? Do you think these will affect now in the upcoming months? You know, more jobs in the UK or less jobs in the UK, or, you know,
I don't think they've got
education.
I don't think they've got a role to play at all. That I think might affect people the way they dress, for example. And now you might see attacks on Muslims, like now after these attacks, that the way women are dressed, so that looks like they're a Muslim. But then that's to do with the way someone might be dressed or something like that. And that they're just people out there that think that Islam's about terrorism when it's not. The meaning of Islam's to do with peace. So if it wasn't to do with peace, then it means something to do like bombing and this and that, but it's not. So people are just having a misconception there, but I don't think that's going to affect education as such. Maybe in schools it might cause a bit of a segregation amongst, for example, like white and Asian people or blacks or something like that, but I don't think that's going to be an issue in the education system.
Yeah, you see, there's a lot of cases going on, and I read an article the other day about kids, they're like really strict people and they're sending their kids off to these countries, telling them not to go to school. It will have effect on education because you see it on news and stuff. Parents telling their kids not to go to school, telling their teacher they don't like school, so they can send them off to these countries to fight and become terrorists, which is not Islam.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it might have a bit of an effect on, you know, our country's matters, but it won't have any effect on, I think, education, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you want to do well, if you want to learn, if you want to, you know, make it, then you will definitely put in that effort. You will definitely, you know, succeed in education, because you're passionate about it, you want to do something about it, and, you know, it's just something that you genuinely want to do. And if it is, then you should definitely pursue it, because there are a lot of benefits to it. But, you know, if you don't want to pursue it, then always look out there, because there are other pathways, other alternatives.
Yeah, definitely. You know, coming to a conclusion overall of today's an hour, 1 hour, education obviously is important. We've discussed, you know, everything in education. You're going to uni, and obviously it plays a big part in our lives, and especially when you want to, you know, you want a good career, you want a good job.
Definitely.
You know, you have to, you know, have good education. But that's all we've got time for today. So thank you for Osama, Dawood and Bilal. So viewers, that's all we've got time for today. We'll catch you back here next Sunday, 4:30 to 5:30 on Iqra TV. Assalamu alaikum.